Has anyone ever wondered why so much film turns into blue at night? People call it moonlight. Well, what I think is that answer is way too easy. Today, I wanted to talk about the color in Get Out 2017. The focus of the clip is not about what color means, it's more about what color does in the film. Well, this film keeps building pressures by managing visibility. It lets the frame stay legible, then blocks access. I will show this through three main scenes. The opening night scene with artificial blue lighting to control legibility. And then is the Sunken Place scene turned into darkness, into death trap. The last is the garden party scene, use repeated red detail to stage inspection in daylight. When these three scenes are put together, color stops looking like style. Color becomes the structure. In the first scene, the blue lining is not trying to imitate natural. It is trying to keep the frame workable and readable. A night image has a technical limit. If the shadow fell in dead black, edges stop behaving like edges, and the space is not measurable. Although editing could lift shadows, but meanwhile it also lifts the noise, which bring up no information. So the film chooses to use artificial blue moonlight. It means to control legibility. Blue here is a structural idea. It keeps the street readable while still refusing comfort. The night stays dark, but it doesn't collapse. The tail lights pull attention forward, so the darkness behind them becomes attractive. When a figure breaks out from the dark, the movement lands because the attention has been guided away, has been orientated. The lining does not fail. The lining misdirect. The frame remains distant and direction that viewers could capture. That legibility matters because the scene is built on delay. It invites a search for information, then makes the search feel unsafe. Move on to the next scene of the Sunken Place, which I will also call it the hypnotized scene. It takes the same control like the opening scene and turns it into a formal trap. The scene does not emptily show fear. The scene does not simply show fear. It constructs a precision for looking. At first, the image feels readable. The room is blue and the television is bright, which first brought up the viewer's attention. At that point, the frame gives a clear point of focus. That clarity matters because the scene is not about losing vision. It's about keeping vision while removing access. Once Chris starts to fall, the camera holds him at a distance. The fall is not a fast drop. It's a sustained separation. The vision from the reality stays above him like a small triangle of the normal world. But the gap keeps expanding. This is where depth becomes a pressure. The frame makes the viewer feel the distance as structure, not as plot itself. The center remains visible. But in the meanwhile, when Chris been pulled away from the depthness, the center becomes unreachable. As the surrounding field turns into near total black, the image does not open into space. It closes space. The darkness is not background. It becomes a device that swallows ages. Ages stop behaving like ages. And there's like merely no direction in that Sunken Place space. The shots still offer informations, but the information is no longer builds a path forward. The horror comes from being kept in a position where looking continues, but moving forward is what seems become impossible. Reading of Vanta Black from Cooper's helped me name this mechanism. He had that perception of death, and the dimensionality disappears. That phrase clarifies what black veil is doing here. It does not only hide, it navigates, and it cancels the normal cures that makes death feel like passage. So in this scene, death becomes a trap. At the last close-up shot in this scene is important for the same reason. The facial detail from Chris remains readable. The blue line still draws out his eyes and his skin's texture, and even his facial expression. Hopeless, panicking. The film does not remove the subject from vision. It removes him from access. The scene keeps legibility, then turns legibility into refusal. This is why the Sunken Place scene feels hopeless. It's not darkness as absent. It's more of a control. Move on to the last scene I'm bringing up today, the garden party scene. The overall color looks bright and harmless, but the color logic changes the space. This scene is not built on darkness. It's built on dress code. It's built from the costume. Chris is the only person dressing in a blue casual dining outfit, and everyone else is in proper attire. The red keeps repeating across that proper fill. It shows up as tires, pocket squares, and small details that look polite and controlled. Repetition matters because it turns red into a system rather than a single color choice. Once red becomes a repeating detail, it starts to behave informal. The field becomes coordinated and closed. The blue element on Chris does not blend into it. It sits inside like a foreign sample, but in a more passive way. In this scene, Chris mostly just standing there, getting social. And what brought my attention is the color contrast makes that passively legible. Because the frame keeps placing his blue against red elements that already belong to the space. There are several shots in the scene makes this clearest. The red and white striped shirt behind Chris is not subtle. It reads as a marker. It pushes the red field right up against his body. So the contrast stops being a background. It becomes a pressure at the surface of the frame. Chris is in blue. The scene keeps surrounding that blue with red. Actually, blue surrounded by red. Red becomes the hunter's color, not because its connotative meaning of hunting, but because it repeats as a control sign of belonging. Blue becomes the color of one being evaluated, because it stays singular and out of the dress code. Helps. The scene does not need explicit violence to perform inspection. Form does it. The line, "Let's see your form," works as a comment. But a comment is already visible before it's spoken. The color field prepare appraisal. Red circulates as sheer detail, while the blue stays isolated, seeking for information, and looking becomes like an assessment for the viewers. In this scene, it makes the assessment feel normal. So the garden party scenes continues at the Sunken Place logic in daylight, like in natural daylight. The Sunken Place denies access through deafness. The garden party scene denies comfort through coordination. Both scenes use color to position Chris, then keep Chris in that position, in the passive position. Putting these three scenes together makes the film's color system easier to name. Helps me stay honest about the limit. If the dark collapses into dead black, the entire form collapses with it. And that's why the film built up a blue line at first, instead of letting the image fall apart. Cooper's given me the language for Sunken Place black film. It's not only concealment, it's a navigation. Death stops behaving like passage. So in the end, what I wanted to say is, in the film of Get Out, color does not sit on top of the story. It sets the condition. It decides legibility and access, which when a frame offers a path, it takes the paths away. Thank you for watching.